Thanks the computer science department that support the food and the place and constant give us support. Second, I want to thank specifically Professor DeLillo and Professor Pollack, which is not with us today, for supporting us at the beginning. It wasn't easy at the beginning to get the support. Most of the doors were closed. So today it's much easier. But they were there for us at the beginning. I also want to thank to Student Union and the CIF funds that help us financially at the beginning. And I want to really thanks for all of you that you came here. But mostly I want to thank those people, the team. Each one of them puts a lot of hours, and you're going to see it's going to reflect over the presentation. And I hope you're going to continue love what you're doing and invest time in Branda. So I'm Benjamin Seagal. I'm a senior. I'm a computer science major and BSMS in neuroscience. Beginning when we started Branda, I was complaining and Sam of issues that we see at Brandeis and how we can solve those issues, and we can be on the side that just complain constantly, or we can be on the side that complain and do things. So when we started Branda, that was the idea behind it, how we can solve things with our computer science knowledge. But as time flew by, and with my experience as a TA and with Branda itself, I realized that there is a much bigger mission for Branda and initiatives like Branda. And the mission is that if people are learning in college theoretical material and then they get practical experience, it's much easier to find internship, and then it's much easier to find a better job, and eventually it reflects on the ranking of the university and the money and the level that people are happy and satisfied to go out of Brandeis and eventually donate back. So it's a whole cycle that continues. Continue. So this is the team: myself, Sam, Brandon, Reese, Ariel, Ilan, Ian, Sarah, Eli, Sarah, Asim, and Hannah. They're gonna introduce themselves soon, and some of you don't know what Branda is, and you're gonna just, so sad that the clicker is not working, but we're just gonna have 1 minute video for people who don't know what Branda is. So.
Hello, I'm Branda, your Brandeis personal assistant. Are you sick of going to Lower East End and finding a closed gate? Next time, just ask Branda. Confused about events on campus and want to be more involved? I will help you sort the events to your personal preferences. Are you tired of missing the Brand Band or just want to go to Boston with friends? Get real-time location information and never miss the bus again. Keep finding broken restrooms but don't know who to talk with? Going to the laundry room in the rain and all the machines are full? Next time, don't waste your time. Just ask Branda. I am Branda. I'm here to help you navigate Brandeis. Many more features are available, and I'm just waiting for you to test me so I can improve from your feedback. Brought to you by the students behind Branda.
Why, as I said before, we care about the community enhancement, the ease of use because all of us have mobile phone, and accurate data. We started 2018 with the idea, then we had a V1 launch last December, and then V2 launch in September, which was not possible without the provost office that support us financially in a 5-day sprint. All of those people came 5 days in advance of school and spent those to make Branda better. We asked the university students what they want to see on an app, and they said that they want to see shuttle tracking, then dining hours, then campus calendar, and laundry status as the top 4 things. We have other things, but those were the top 4. And then this is the actual data from November 14 of usage within the app. So 65% mostly use the shuttle tracking, 22% the dining hours, 8% the laundry status, and then we have other features. We don't count the news page, which is the main page. And the reason we have the news page is because we want people to know what's going on in Brandeis if they want or if they don't. So when they go into the app, they have to look at the news page. The benefits for the university mainly are more engaged student, information dissemination, which is a big thing, mainly the notification, we're going to talk about it. Facility cost saving, we want to work more with facilities to see how we can reduce that, the cost. Capacity utilization of spaces, practical experience for the students who work on such projects, and campus heat map based on usage, and we know where people are mostly on campus, so we can leverage this data later on for better utilization of campus facilities.
Hello all, I'm Elon Haskell. I'm currently a junior at Brandeis University. I'm studying CS and work with Branda. Before coming to Brandeis, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to study. And I got to Brandeis as a mid-year and was like, all right, it's time to figure it out. So I took my CS 11A class with Antonella, where I shortly met my mentor, Ben. And I struggled a lot through 11A, like figuring out for loops and such, but Ben was there to help me. And when Ben introduced me to Branda, I was like, wow, he's helped me so much, so now it's my time to give it back to him. So I took it upon myself to learn mobile and web development languages such as React along with my friends right here. And here I am today. This past summer, I spent my time at a coding boot camp, just strengthening those skills. Coming back to the sprint, I was ready to make a large impact, and here I am with push notifications. So right here is a classic push notification that we'll send to about 2,222 users currently. Here we have a React web app that this is pretty much where we send our push notifications. You'll put in the title, the message, and then right here you'll click all users, and it will send again to 2,222 users. Currently, so about a month ago, we sent out a push notification about an event Brandon was at. It was about a presenter. Before the event, there was only 130 tickets sold. After sending our push notification at around 4 or something, we saw at the event 30 more tickets were sold. So we're realizing that people are noticing our push notifications and it's making an impact. This only leads to future plans. Right? We plan on letting more clubs, events advertise, such as Kindness Day. We sent out a bunch of notifications to users letting them know about events coming up. And then a couple bugs that I've noticed, right? So we sometimes send too long of push notifications and they'll cut off like right here with 3 ellipses. So what I've been trying to look into is how to fix that. Normally when you press on a notification, it's supposed to expand. But right now that's not currently working. Also, what I need to fix is right here is this button. So on Kindness Day, I sent out a notification, but I wasn't sure it sent. So I then double clicked this button, and which sent 2 more notifications to 2,000 people. So that was one mistake I made.
Just got a lot of mad messages.
A lot of spam. People were like, stop spamming me. I was like, that's my fault. Like, I'm trying to fix that. So right, I need to like do something with that once I click it once to make sure like I don't click it again. And yeah, I currently also plan on reorganizing the backend file structure, but I'm going to leave that up to Ian to talk about.
Hello everyone, my name is Ian. I'm a sophomore. I'm studying computer science and probably history, but to be determined. I joined Branda because Reese and I lived on the same dorm freshman year, and we had a mutual interest in computer science and coding things. And one day he just showed me this app that he was working on. He's like, Ian, you should come do this with me. And I was like, all right, sure. And the rest is basically just history at this point. So for the past 6 months, I've been working on improving the look and feel of the app in terms of UI design. And that started with this onboarding screen, which is basically like a little tutorial that users see after they log into the app. And it's basically the second thing they see. And on some platforms, we have broken icons, broken styling. It's not a good look. It's not professional looking. It's not nice looking. Doesn't make a very good first impression. So initially my idea was just, right, we're going to change some of this text. We're going to make these icons work. And it's just going to be like a little bit of a facelift. But as I got into working with the actual code, I realized this code's a mess. And there's no way I can save it by fixing a few things. So we started from scratch and arrived at this design, which shipped in fall of this year. What's interesting about this is that this takes half the code that this design did, while being more modular and nicer looking, as you can see. Next, I also updated the menu bar, which is also a big part of the app. It's how you get around. Again, we have broken icons, big theme today. And we also had to reshuffle things in terms of menu order to accommodate for new features like the profile page, which I'll get to in the next slide. So basically what we did is we moved the logout page, the profile page, and we added better icons. And what this shows is mainly the importance and, I guess you could say, how big of an effect that small changes can have. Like, for example, on iPhones, you would see iOS style icons, but on an Android phone, you'd see material design style icons. And this is the profile page. So the initial concept we had for the profile page was like, right, we're going to take all this information that exists in Get, which handles the school's meal swipes and meal points and who cache and all that. We'll display it in a nice way so that users don't have to have an extra app on their phone. But it turns out that this company charges about a kidney or two per year for access to this data, and I like my kidneys, and so do all these people. So that plan had to gotten thrown out, and instead we came to this concept here, which was you can have customizable links to certain Brandeis services that most people use, and you get to choose what push notifications you have. And this list of quote-unquote approved clubs is just going to continue to evolve as we continue to develop that concept. And finally, for my future plans, I'm going to work with a lot of these people here on reorganizing the backend server, which handles all of the data processing that the app needs. And currently, all of the code that handles processing and delivering information to the app and to our admin panel is about 1,100 lines across 2 files, which very quickly become a mess. So we want to reorganize that to make it more modular, we want to make it more maintainable, so when Sam and Ben leave, who are the ones who built it in the first place, we can keep maintaining it without breaking anything too much. And now Reese is going to speak about his work.
Hello everyone, I'm Reese. I'm also a sophomore currently. And my story was interesting because it actually started before I came to Brandeis. I was looking at the schools, and I saw our website compared to the other schools, and I thought, oh, the school's website is a bit inferior, but this is an opportunity for me. So, what I decided to do is I had done website development in high school, but it wasn't at a professional grade, and I decided, oh, I'm going to learn over one summer and magically create professional grade websites. So that's what I taught myself how to do. I learned more advanced HTML and CSS, as well as a new thing called a JavaScript library. I didn't know those existed at the time, because I did vanilla JavaScript, which is the base package. And then it was called jQuery when I did some of my research. So then I wanted to also expand my first ever website that I created, which was for my 3D design club in high school. And I wanted to make it so that instead of just teaching kids at my school, I could teach people all over the world how to do 3D animation with a free tool called Blender. And then, so I was working on it all summer. I learned the jQuery I needed to get a baseline for what I wanted. And I came into the semester in college, and about 3 weeks in, I came to Vertical Lounge because I wanted to meet the upperclassmen to see how the computer science department was. So I went over to that couch, and then this bearded man, who I later met, was named Sam Stern. And we started talking, and I was curious to see what projects he was working on. And he noticed when we were talking that I had my website open. And then he noticed, there's a little bugs here or there, it's a little slow, but I had like 1 million tabs open on Google Chrome. And he's like, did you teach yourself how to make this? And I said, yeah, I have been. And then he said, you should try something called Bootstrap. It's called a framework. I didn't know what the heck this was. And I went back, I changed the website, and over like a course of 2 weeks, it already started looking professional. I thought, this is amazing. And also in that conversation, he said, hey, I'm making this app called Branda, which is going to help improve the school's technology. And I thought, oh, I had that idea already. This is just giving me a head start on how to do it. So then I interviewed with some of the other teammates at the time, and they liked me, and then I joined the team. But my first real impact, I thought, was this. This thing was the original logo. I'm like, I do not want something staring at me in my sleep. I think we have to change this immediately. But nobody had graphic design knowledge at all except for me. I had 3D design. I didn't know how to use Photoshop. So I thought, okay, let's make a three-dimensional objects, and then use a two-dimensional plane to cut the three-dimensional objects to make a two-dimensional image. Way too complicated to make a logo. But through various transitions in various stages, I got it down to just the simple Brandeis B that you have today on your phones. Furthermore, like, we're about to launch, so at this point it's about December, and we had no posters. We just had the small group of community of computer scientists in Vertica, and I'm like, we have to expand to the rest of the school. So I went again, made my 3D designs, used the two-dimensional plane, and created a series of posters that were posted all over the campus. And then I also, in that process, learned how to make a QR code. And I thought that was really interesting because another project I was working at the time was creating the Branda.app website. And that QR code would link to the Branda.app website. I thought this was a great application for me to not only take the professional level website skills I've been learning, but translate it so that Apple could approve our website and we could actually launch the app successfully. And then afterwards, we realized, hey, wait, I'm the only freshman on the team, and that the rest of them were juniors at the time, and in order for this app to be sustainable, I can't be the only one working on it after the juniors graduate eventually. So Ben gave us an assignment. We're all going to recruit one freshman. But the problem was, nobody else knew freshmen besides myself. So, in some form or another, I helped recruit many of the people that you see up today. But the problem was, like, a lot of them hadn't done computer science before. So in order to be able to help them kind of get at the same playing field where I was, so that we could all learn this new React and React Native libraries to write a web, like an app, I basically hosted HTML and CSS classes to introduce them to website development, which is used in big components of the app, as well as, of course, for the website. And then my goal for the future is to, again, like Ian said, make Branda modularized, like actually readable for coders, and easier for like the future generations that will continue building the app. But I also want to structure classes, now that I have examples from my professors, to like further build upon the HTML and CSS classes I made, so that it's a much easier transition for the new freshman recruits that we will hopefully be starting to gather again next semester. And now my partner Sarah will talk about the reservation system we have.
Hello everyone, my name's Sarah Baum. I'm a sophomore here at Brandeis, and I'm working on Branda. I'm taking for co-side yeah, doing a few other things. And basically, I joined Branda this past March when my classmate Eli at the time said that they were recruiting new members and asked if I was interested. And I said, yes, I am. At the time, it was kind of my first introduction to a formal education with computer science. And I was really excited to kind of learn how to apply that knowledge in the real world in a way that really like impacts or would impact our campus community. So I started going to Branda meetings, started attending HTML and CSS classes led by Reese, and just kind of expanding my knowledge on front-end web development. And eventually I was assigned my first project, which was to design basically the layout for what we call the reservations website. So you all probably know that Brandeis has brand vans and shuttles which you can place reservations for, and on the back-end side of that, you need kind of this sort of website or place where people who are administering this or organizing this can place reservations, delete reservations, and just keep track of everything. So that was kind of my project, to design this website. So we have our first mock-up here.
It's Eva, dropping off soon.
Thanks. And as you can see, it was kind of first divided by daytime and evening hours. You would select an hour. The stops would be displayed with all of the people who had reservations for that time. In my mock-up, all of the names are John Smith. It would hopefully be more, more diverse than that. But yeah, so this is my first mock-up. And I remember presenting it to the team, and they were super energetic about it. They were like, this is awesome, this is great, but here are things you can work on. And I was like, awesome. So we kind of kept bouncing ideas off of each other, and eventually we came to mock-up number 2, which I like to think is more consolidated, and looks a lot more similar to kind of what came into being when Reese and I started coding it up. So as you can see, there's a day that you select, and for that day, there are components divided by the hour, which are then divided by 15 minutes, and you can see all the stops in a scroll down menu, and upon clicking on the stop, the users who have reservations at that time and day are displayed. So here we have kind of the layout of the website as it is now. And Reese and I have been working on perfecting this, coding it up, divided by the hour. There are intervals of 15 minutes, just as in the design. And as you can see next to each stop, you can see the number of reservations that are currently in place for that date and time and that stop. So you can easily kind of know if you're scheduling reservations, where there's availability, where there isn't. And upon clicking on a stop, you can see who currently has reservations for that place and easily cancel any reservations. So this has been kind of like a really cool process to learn how the design and the final product kind of coexist and how you can kind of, it's not really like a linear process, it's a lot of like going back and forth, which I didn't really know before. So currently Reese and I are working on perfecting what we call the fetching process in terms of helping our backend and our databases communicate with kind of the activity that the user engages in with response to our website. And we're working on that with these features and also our announcements feature, which is another part of the reservations website. So currently you can see announcements in terms of if a day is a holiday and you can't make a reservation. So we're kind of fine-tuning that process of making the back end communicate with the front end at the moment. And in the future, as we're tying up the loose ends for this project, I'm going to be getting more involved with back end on Ian's team. It's very exciting. And yeah, just going to keep learning. Thank you.
What's up, everyone? My name's Eli. I'm a sophomore studying computer science here at Branda University. Like Alon, I had no idea what I wanted to do going into college. I had heard of computer science before, and it sounded pretty cool. But looking back on it now, I realize I didn't even have the slightest inkling of an idea of all that went into computer science and all that computer science was. And so I started doing computer science at the beginning of my freshman year, but when I really realized that computer science is what I wanted to do was when I took Antonella's 12th class in second semester freshman year. I actually remember the exact moment that it happened. I was working on the first PA, DNA, I think, and I was having this problem that I was dealing with it for like 2 days, and it was killing me. I was so stressed out about it, so I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in the textbook and I'm going to see if I can find something that can help me. So I went to the Brandeis bookstore and I got one of their copies of the textbook. And I was literally just sitting there on the floor of the Brandeis bookstore like a maniac, flipping through the pages, trying to find something that could help me. And I finally did, and I figured it out, and it felt so amazing to just finally solve that thing that had been bugging me for 2 days. I was like, oh my god. And there was this girl there that was like buying a notebook, and she looked at me and I felt weird, but it was a great thing. And then after that, I was recruited by Reese to join Branda, and the rest, as they say, is history. So a little bit about my role on Branda. I work mostly on back end. I've had to learn a lot of stuff about back end and all the components that go into it, Expo, React, JavaScript, all that fun stuff. I have been working mostly on planning up to this point, so essentially trying to figure out what the code is going to look like, how the code's going to work, what it needs to do, all that stuff. And more specifically, I'm working with Ian's team to try to reorganize the code and make it easier to use and maintain. So why am I still here? What have I gotten out of this? Well, first of all, like I just said, I've learned a lot of stuff that I didn't even really know existed before I joined this team. I've gotten to work with Ben Seagal and Sam Stern, who, apart from just being awesome guys, have been great mentors to me. They have taught me so much stuff about how to approach learning new things and about how to approach solving problems. I've gained a ton of experience on how to think critically, how to solve problems under pressure, work on a team, problem solve at a high level, learn new things, all that stuff. And finally, I've made some great friends, all the lovely men and women that you see here before you today. And it's just been a great experience. Me and Reese and Alon and Ian all took 12 together, and this building, Volin, kind of became our home. There were a lot of trials and tribulations, but we got through it. I remember this one particular PA3 ski lift. We were up till 2 in the morning finishing that. One of us cried, not gonna say who. So yeah, it's been a great experience, and I highly recommend anybody who's interested in computer science join Branda because of all the great benefits that I've just talked about. It's something that I really think is has been talked about, not just beneficial to the end user, but really makes the computer science community of Brandeis stronger as a whole. So I'm super thankful to be on this team.
Hi, my name is Sarah Kozowski, and I'm a sophomore here at Brandeis, and I'm currently a TA for Antonella. And my journey with Branda started in an interview group last semester. This was led by Jeffrey Cow, who was one of Antonella's TAs, and he led it just so he wanted to help us get internships. So it was a weekly thing, and he would provide thought-provoking, challenging problems for us to do that are similar to the ones you see on a technical interview. And we learned how to optimize them and to just try to make the most efficient code. And he's one of the reasons why, as a freshman, I was able to get an internship last summer. And so one time in the class, I was sitting there and then I heard Eli say something to Sarah about Branda. And my ears perked up because from the second I got here, I knew that there was some need for consolidating a lot of the resources that Brandeis has to offer. And I was so excited to see that Branda was that for the students. And then they offered me to join it. So then I've been working on the map. So when I joined, there were 20 or 30 places, and now there are over 100. So you could search here, and then a list of the places come up, and then you can choose from them. And then I also realized that there needs to be a way to show people how to get from point A to point B. So with this, I added directions. So it takes your starting location, and then you put in your destination, and then with this green line over here, it shows you the most efficient way to go to your destination. And doing this involves interacting with the Google Maps API. What we do is we send the API the information about the starting location and the destination, and then we get the information back, which we display with this green line, which we call a polyline. And what I'm working on now is adding accessibility to the map. What there will be a button over there that you could toggle on to get accessible directions. Not only will it show you the fastest way in the green, which it always shows, but it will also show in the blue accessible directions so that people can have a more accessible way to get around campus. And I've been meeting with different accessibility groups on campus and reaching out to different people to try to get a very comprehensive, accessible map for the students here. And my next project will be working on the hours for the Gosman gym. We already have the hours, the general Gosman hours, but we've gotten a lot of feedback that people want to see more. People want to know when the pool is open, when the workout rooms are open. And since we have a lot of teams here, they have some kind of weird hours because when the team's using the facilities, other people can't. So this is just a mock-up of how it could look with the different hours there. And that, give it to Sam.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam. I'm a senior majoring in computer science, hopefully with honors if all goes well. and I'm a TA for operating systems with Olga right now. So I got started in Branda because Ben was my head TA in Antonella's 21 class, and after that semester ended, he came up to me with this idea for an app to bring together all of the information at Brandeis. And we started about 2 years ago. I've been coding with the app and with the server since the very beginning. But I'd like to talk with you specifically about shuttles. Now, they're really important. There are a lot of students and faculty and staff who live in the Waltham area. There are a lot of students who live just all the way down there off campus. And our shuttle tracking system kind of left something to be desired. The app took all of the battery from the people's phones. You had to manually close it to stop it from running. And it also just really wasn't giving very good information. There were only trackers on 3 of the shuttles because of how unwieldy they were and how much they cost. So Ben figured out that there was actually a better solution. A company called Samsara, which I'm repping right now, that provided better trackers for cheaper. And over the summer, And over the summer, Ben and I helped install all the trackers, did all of the testing, made sure that everything was reliable. And I just really want to thank the Department of Public Safety and Acquisitions. Acquisitions, right, Ben?
Procurement.
Procurement.
Chief Kalan and Mark J, that without them, and Misha that pushed it from escort services, this would not have been happening.
So we got it all together, and now there are trackers installed on every single shuttle that is in Brandeis' fleet right now. And students are actually able to tell where things are when they're about to come. And just, this is what happens when people collaborate with us. Everyone in this room wants to make the school better, and Branda provides an incredibly useful, intuitive, and easy to use platform to do that. So what I did, I integrated the API. My job was specifically making your phone talk to Samsara. And like I said, I tested through the summer, and we rolled it out right before the semester started. Now, I've also been working a lot on the server side, on the computer that handles the data fetching, the data logic, and I wrote the backend for the reservation system, which Sarah and Reese are making right now. And I also am working alongside Ian's team to figure out the new structure for the code of the server, and ultimately a new structure for how everything works in it, to make sure that it's maintainable not just for us, but for everyone in the future. Now, I've also worked a lot with recruiting and teaching in the team. As we said, I recruited him just sitting right over there. And I've also been doing these kind of impromptu or sometimes organized mini lectures on more advanced technical concepts. So I did a lecture last semester about JavaScript, the language that we're using. And during the sprint, I gave a bit of a talk on these things called promises, which are at the core of how JavaScript works, and were invented actually by a professor here, Luba Shrira. And I've also given talks on REST, a standard for computers to communicate, and code style and modularity. Just basically, how do you write code that looks good, is maintainable, and works? And now I'm going to hand things over to the business side of the team. This is Branda.
Thank you, Sam. My name is Brandon, not to be mistaken for the app Branda or the school Brandeis. I kind of hear them all the time. But unlike everyone who's spoken so far, I'm not a COSI student. I mean, I'm not pursuing a major in COSI. However, I did take a 10A for a little bit. It just didn't work out, but it was a great class. Yeah, so I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship. And so even through high school, I did some of the business clubs. And when I came to Brandeis, I really wanted to kind of like do something with my education besides just in the classroom. And I joined Spark, which is another kind of startup incubator here at Brandeis. And they paired me up with the team. And I was luckily, fortunate enough to join Ben on one of the teams he was doing. And this was, I believe, during my freshman year of college. And through that experience, I connected with him. And then, a few months went by, and when he was coming out with Branda, we ran into each other, and he asked if I wanted to join him on the team. I said, of course, this is a fantastic opportunity. So since then, I've been fortunate enough to work with everyone you see here on the business side of things. And so our goals are mainly kind of to supplement all the coding that's being done, and firstly, communicate better with the students and the administration. So students, we get feedback from the students, and also what they want from the school, and kind of like what the school might want to, with push notifications relay to the students. That's a big feature we've been working on. Brand recognition, because we think everyone, if they have the Branda app, they'll be able to benefit so much more from all the resources the school has to offer. Because a lot of times, like Sarah said, it gets overlooked with the amount of links and websites you have to navigate through. But we're tremendously, we have a tremendous opportunity here at Brandeis, and we should be extremely fortunate for what we have. And then promotional materials. So Reese kind of designed these posters, and whenever we launch, so the very first launch in December that we did, and future launches, we want to make sure that they go around campus so people can find out what new features are coming out, and that the freshmen, when they come to campus, they know that there's an app for them. And lastly, we seek out feedback. So right when the app launched, we ran into a bug where it didn't work on half of the devices, the Android devices. So we kind of, on the business side, our role is to make sure that students knew that we're working on an update that was coming out soon, and it got patched fairly quickly. Additionally, sometimes for facilities requests, there's been some concern recently that there wasn't a great way to get them filled out. So we're trying to maybe integrate that into the Branda app, so that in the future it's much easier. You can just take a picture, send it through. So these are some of the posters that we designed, and like the QR code right there that Reese helped made. You scan it, it downloads the app, goes right to the website where you can download the app. And so we do that during the launches, then after the launches, we try to kind of revise them for the future and make sure more people download the app and kind of see the posters that we made. And in the future, we're going to try to develop some swag. So like, for instance, some hoodies. It's always cold around here, usually raining or something like today. So they come in handy, and then kind of represent the Branda app and Brandeis University as a whole. So we're trying to think of things like that, maybe T-shirts, some iPhone accessories, and we think it'll really help Branda app grow in the future. And now I'll pass it over to Hannah. Recent addition to the team on the business side.
Hi everybody, my name is Hannah. I'm a freshman here at Brandeis, and I'm interested in entrepreneurship. I joined Branda when I met Reese. I work at the Innovation Center, and I was promoting one of the programs, and he told me about Branda. And I asked if they were looking for someone on the business side, and I really liked the idea of Branda when he told me about it. I just joined a few weeks ago, so I haven't done much yet, but something I really want to focus on in the future is really developing a relationship with the users, because something that Reese told me was that they could be making money off of Branda, but they really wanted to be for the students. And so it's really important that we're catering to their needs. So right now we have over 300 followers on Instagram, and we're going to use that and other social media to really figure out what people want, and by sending out like feedback surveys or creating like user tutorials. I'm looking forward to what else there is in the future.
Just to mention, at the beginning of last week, it was around 100, 110. So within a week, Anna did a great job of
So my name's Ariel Ochayon. I'm a double major in business and economics. I actually took computer science with Professor Hickey my freshman year. It also didn't work out so much for me.
So the people on the remotely.
So Branda currently has about 4,500 users. These are people that download it or have used it before. So these are about our user rates. Year to date, we have, these are all year to date, so from, I believe it's November 18th past. And so we see here that when it first launched, it's going to have the most amount of users, and then it has shifted down. We can see June to August, there was the big gap for the summer because no one's going to be using it. And then this is from our second sprint, where we version 2. And it's been going down because of a new update on iOS 13, where the Branda app and iOS 13 weren't working well together. It wasn't working on the phones. But since then, they fixed it somehow. I don't know, computer science stuff. And basically, it's starting to trend up. And we see on the bottom graph that when people are using the app, like they're using it. There's about 3 sessions every time they look. So they're probably looking at the dining hall hours, their laundry, and maybe like try and go to the brand end. So this is the user growth and retention. From last year, we've doubled in size from year to date. And from the past month, we've grown by 15%, which is impressive considering we only had 100 Instagram followers. We're not getting a lot of, we didn't have a lot of promotional stuff. However, it's mostly from word of mouth, people telling each other, their friends, the app works, you should download it, check your laundry, all that. And then here are active users. In the past 30 days, we have 1.1K users, different users every in the past 30 days. And this is also down because of the iOS bug, where like I think it was half the people weren't able to use it. Yeah. And
So, what are we working on? So we are working on two main things. The biggest thing we are working on is to make it full accessible and compatible with W3C highest level of accessibility. That's because we want to work closer with communication office, and that's one of the key points that we want to leverage in order to work with communication office. The second thing that we are concerned, and we got a lot of feedback, is students and parents of students that comes to visit on campus and want to use some of the features such as the map. So we want to have open access for a few of the features that does not require login. And then the last big thing that we're going to work with communication office is the orientation week. We want to make sure that within this week or before, when people get accepted on April and so on, communication can communicate with them back and forth and have everything on one page within the app. So that's our main feature, other than making it more sustainable for the long run from coding perspective, as me and Sam are seniors, and we might support some of it when we are leaving, but we want to make sure that when we leave, there is a continuous leadership that continue this thing, especially as we serve so many people. I want to mention that this is Branda, and we are 12 people, and it was a long way until we got to this point. So only Antonella and a few people that are close to me knows this process of everyone leaving. I'm alone, me and Sam, 5 more people. Someone is not here, they don't come, and then we expanded to such a good group of people that are dedicated for this app. But there are other groups. So one of them is Skunkwork, and you see them there at the Digital Scholarship Lab, Humanity Lab, which is a new lab at Branda. It started about 7 or 8 months ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah.
Digital scholarship.
So digital the name changed every week. So I'm sorry. So Digital Scholarship Lab, and I remember this place as nothing, and then now there are computer and a lot of stuff that people can use to leverage processing of data. So I'm using it for my research, not just for Branda. And it's been tremendous to the fact that today it's so packed. I was there at the beginning, no one was there. Now you're going and you don't have computers to work on. So the reason I'm putting it up is because one, other group of people are doing a lot of great work at Branda and don't get enough recognition. Second, because we need more support of allowing those things, and other group, not just Branda, because we think that's what's going to push people to go out of Branda is happy and continue to contribute even when they leave Branda. So this is us. We want to thank all of you for coming, and we're going to have a 5 to 10 minutes Q&A. So if you have questions, and we really want your feedback, because based on your feedback, we are growing. That's how we work. So thank you for coming, and thank you all for your hard working.
Questions?
It's always out to start with the first question. We saw that last time, and then.
Yeah, but like we don't bite. We're friendly people.
Yes.
Is there a way that you can add where the ATMs are on campus? Or is it already on there and I'm missing it? Somebody asked me yesterday and I was like, oh, let me look on Branda and see. And then, oh.
Yes, it's very easy, and yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah. The answer is yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So how modular is the whole design of that? Could I just take it and apply it in another school?
It's really not, to be perfectly honest.
There's a lot of logic that's internal to Branda, specifically dealing with Samsara, dealing with the dining hall hours, dealing with how we interact with the calendar and the laundry machines, that isn't portable to other places because we rely specifically on the data types returned by those.
So I would say something note on that is that if we work with Samsara, which is a cheaper provider than any other school provider, or with Laundry, which is CLC machines, which is there in 4,400 universities in the US, it will be fully modular. So some of the models will be fully modular, about 3 or 4 of them out of 9, I think. So we still need to work on the next 5 to make it fully modular.
Would be a cool project.
It's a technical question. What is it? What's the stack that you're using? Using Ruby on Rails or Node.js or Mongo, Postgres?
I can say the stack, but I'll leave it to.
Somebody
I can
else.
go fully on the stack, but I just want to
Yeah.
repeat.
Okay, so we've got React Native, which is the actual app.
Yeah.
And then on the backend server side, we're running Node.js with Express, which is like a way of interacting with Node via HTTP for everyone who isn't experienced in web development. And for our database, we're using a database called MongoDB.
And then for the front end on the web, we use React as well. Yeah, that's the main.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's coming in the future.
I'm gonna stop for a second. So I don't know, some of you probably don't know or know. So this is the forward. So thank you for thank you for giving us
Or actually, what I should say is congratulations to all of you. It's terrific what you've done, and I'm a big fan and supporter of what you're doing, and you have a very good negotiator in Ben, as you all know, because he roped you all in as well. One of the things that is coming online, which again is really focused on students and phones, is Workday Student. So I was wondering how you're thinking or how you're engaging with the folks in ITS and the team that are working on Workday Student. And it's particularly, I think, a great opportunity because they're building out Workday Student. So we're in the beta version with Workday Student as opposed to what was put in place for finance, administration, and HR. So are you engaged in discussions? Do you need a little help from the provost to what can we do to?
I'll answer on this side. Two things happen. One, Ian Rifkin is with us on the line. So Ian Rifkin from LTS is with us right now. I wish James was with us here as well. We didn't get to Workday yet, but Workday will make our life much easier because if I go back, there is a node that says access to data. So Workday gives you this access already with, it's not called FARPA, but there is a specific, so there is a system.
Because I have it already on for the current.
So we will take, it will actually make our life on the profile page easier for like fetching this information. So it's a great idea. What we do work on, we had a big issue with the dining not hours, but the menus and the points, Ukesh, etc. So part of the RFP, and Jeffrey is not with us now, Hirschberg, he could not make it. But we are working within the new RFP to have this kind of like a line that says that you have to provide this information in such a way. And it's a great, we're going to continue working on Workday after this, so we will see how we can make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're really, at the executive team level, and we're really trying to find ways, since we know everybody's looking at their phones, they're sort of not reading any of my emails, to try to, use that, and it just seems like the more that we can integrate this, make it kind of one-stop shopping for everybody, it would be great.
Definitely, we are here for you. Definitely, yeah. Yes.
Very nice job, everyone. My question is more about the future of Branda, more from the business side. How the university, the student body, the student union can help you to support and maintain this app, this amazing app, especially after Ben is graduating and Sam is graduating?
Well, we couldn't, stop them from graduating, but.
So
sorry, that's provost humor.
One of the key points that we are working on, and we are going to start fully on this break that comes up, is one, recruit 4 more people on January. Also, you can see that a lot of freshmen are here, so we have continuous of 3 years. But we also, within this group, have 2 leaders that they don't know that they're going to be leaders, but they are leaders that will take on to continue this app. From support financially, we are thinking of distributing the financial burden on specific department within the university. So we're thinking there is the We Jury app that is paid from the sport departments that cost a lot of money that we can take off and put it into our app. There is communication, there is dining, there is student services. So if everyone budget in a bit, we can make it, it's not that expensive to maintain this app. And then The other thing I would say, we got an offer to make it as a club, and we really said we are not making it as a club because we have 260 clubs at Brandeis, and we don't think that this burden should go on the student union. So it's not that expensive, and we think that we will spread it out across departments. So we're still working on it. It's not there yet.
I actually have something additional to say on how you can support us. Just when you're making new places to get information, just think about us. Make sure that we have a way in that completely protects the integrity of everything, all students' privacy. But, you know, like if you're making a new way of looking at a dining hall hours, just think about us.
Or just ask, just email us and you're like, we're thinking of using X service, how do you feel about it? And then we can talk about it. Someone in the front had a question, yes?
Yes, do you think you'll take advantage of opportunities to be profitable in the future?
I think Sam is the one that's going to answer.
Yeah, Sam has feelings about this.
No. We are an app to serve the students. Our sole stakeholders are the students, and any attempt at profitability is, I think, a violation of that trust.
So there was a slide that says expanding to other places, making money, etc., and this slide is off. So we don't expand, like we might expand out of Brandeis. I don't know what's going to happen after this, etc., etc. But with Brandeis, we will never take money from students or make profit work to our budget. All of this is volunteer work, by the way. No one gets a dime for the hours they put into it.
And like this is hundreds or thousands of hours across all of us. Anyone else?
Thank you so much. Great cookies and coffee, so you should take some.